Hey everybody, it's your man Tight coming to you with another true spook story. As you know, before we begin, I would like to ask that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you're feeling not robbery, share me. Help me get up there, people. I thank you so much and I love you. So without further ado, let's get into this story. Well, this story is going to take place within Orlando, Florida area. Now, there was this guy by the name of Lensey, and Lensey was known as a track star. He ran track in high school, he ran track in middle school. He was just a very athletic person. And to give you a little bit of the backstory of Lensey from what I knew growing up as a kid, Lensey, his parents orphaned him and he had to live with his grandmother. And as a child, his grandmother raised him quite well. She believed in academics and education. She did a lot for him. Well, Lensey's grandmother raised Lensey to be a, and I can't make this up, and I can't believe I'm saying this because this guy is still running around Orlando like it ain't nothing. But we know the story, so I gotta say it. So if you guys see him running, it's crazy. Well, Lensey's grandmother, it was told to me by my grandmother. Lensey's grandmother raised him to be a male prostitute, but not a male prostitute in the sense of she would have him go out there on the corner and sell ping or sell dick to bring some money into the house. It was more he was a male prostitute in order to sex up older women on a mystical tip. Now, I know you guys may be scratching your head or you might be saying, what the hell's going on? Trust me, it blew my mind too. So, a little bit more in detail because this story is going to get crazy. And it's going to be a little funny, but spooky too. It's spooky as shit. Now, as you know, Lensey was an orphan. His grandma got him. So Lensey was always known for having a perfect shape, perfect stamina, six-pack abs. He was always running places. He never drove in a car. You would always catch him running up Ivy Lane Road. I had to be about 15 when I first started seeing him run, all the way up into, and I'm mid 40 now, and he's still running. He has no car. He never rode a bike. Anywhere he went in the Orlando area, he would either walk or he would run. I don't know if he even had a job because I never seen him outside of running. Well, his grandma raised him, and she, from what I heard, once he became sexually active, she would in turn mate with her own grandson. This is the word that was going around the neighborhood. Now, I don't know how true this was at the time when I heard it, but as you know, grandmama, she don't bullshit. She don't play, and I'll let you in when I get to the part where it was confirmed for me. You guys will understand. So it was said that she had raised him to have sex with her, starting from the age of 15 on up. So he never took a girlfriend. He never went to the prom, never went on dates. She would just make sure he exercised and kept in shape. So he would leave school. All my sister know you would say he would leave school and he would run straight home, and he would have to take off his clothes and he would walk around his grandmother's house in his underwear and socks. He never came outside, never played, never came to the community barbecues, picnics, nothing. He just always stayed in the house. And if he wasn't in the house, he was out running. He was out jogging and running up the road, miles and miles a day. So back to the thing. So they had discovered that he was having sex with his grandmother. Every time he would have sex with her, she would come out, sit on the porch afterwards, and she would fix him his drink of water, iced tea, whatever, kiss him on the lips. All the neighbors would say this. And she would send him on his way, tell him to go run to stay in shape. Well, this situation had got so bad, and she had started pimping him out to other older women in the community. It was a lot of older women in the community that he would be having sex with on behalf of his grandmother. And I'm not talking about older women as these women are like 45, 50 years old. These women are well off into their 68 and 78 years old. They're senior citizens. And he would jog to each one of their houses, sex him up. He would bring some money back to his grandmother, and she would put it in the bank or put it in a box or anything like that. And it just got crazy. He did this for years. So then, all of a sudden, he comes home from school and his grandma had passed away. She was about 79 years old when she passed away. They lived in a house off of Fanny Avenue. So he came home from school, and he went in the house, and he did everything, took off his clothes, got ready to, go in the room and sex his grandmother up. And he ran out the door yelling at everybody that she was dead. She was dead. So everybody rushed in the house, they called the police, and so boom. Now he's standing up there in his underoos and his white socks, don't know what to do, he's crying. But she had left him with some money and she had left him with the house, so he was in good standing. So fast forward, I'm in my 20s now, 24, 27. And I'm seeing Lensey, and now he's catching the city bus. He's no longer in shape, no longer healthy, no longer doing anything. Now he's catching the bus, out of shape. And I'm like, what's up, Lensey? Because I passed through Mercer Drive and I seen him at the Mercer Drive, at the meat market off Mercy Drive, which there's a story for that too. Trust me, that shit gets crazier. So I say, Lensey, you need a ride, pimping? I had got me a nice little Ford Escort, AC condition. I'm thinking I'm the shits. He say, okay. So I let him get in the car. And once he gets in the car, he's rubbing his knees and he's playing with the buttons like a little child. Like, man, this is a nice car. And it just was a shitty ass Escort, yo. And this is a nice car. And so I drove him to the house, and that's why I know the house was on like Fanny Street. Thank you, brother. He said, thank you, man. He said, you want to come in and, have something to eat? I cooked some pork chops and stuff. I said, no, I'm in a rush, pimping. I said, but everything good, man. You take care. He said, all right. If I see you again, he said, I got your back no matter what. Need anything, hit me up. He said, I live here by myself, so ain't nobody here. So if you ever need a place to stay too, holler at me. I said, all right, bet that up. And I wasn't never gonna go there. Again, I'm seeing him walk standing at the bus stop. This time I didn't pick him up. And if I saw him in my distance, I would turn and go up the other road because he gave me that weird, creepy ass vibe. So I told Grandma, I say, since Lensey Grandma died, he's all fat and out of shape and he ain't looking right. And my grandma say, stay away from him. I say, ma'am? She say, stay away from that dumb nigga. I say, what you mean, Grandma? She say, boy, just listen. I say, I say, you know what's going on, Grandma. You with the shits. And she like, come over here. So this is in my grandma's own words now. So this is how creepy this shit get. So my grandma was like, so now that bitch of a grandmama is his, right? She was fucking him. I say I heard that. I say, but Grandma, that's just rumors, because, she took care of the boy and shit. Like, no. Say she was sitting up there molesting that boy. I say, Grandma, how you know? And I can't make this up. And y'all got to excuse my grandma. She wasn't an angel, but she was my darling. She said, so we was at the post 30, and we was all up there talking shit, playing bingo. and we were having fun. And say all the women start talking about Lensey out there having sex with them, and how every time after they fuck him, they just feel like they just so good and they got so much energy. She would say how after they would fuck Lensey, how they would just feel so rejuvenated, and they would put on their wigs and they would get pretty and look good, and then they would go out tonight because all of these women was virtually having sex with him Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And those were the days that he had to screw at least 3 of these women a day, 3 days a week, and they would give him money. So my grandma heard them talking about this all night, she said. And she said, well, the reason how I know he was fucking his grandma, because now that the lady dead, she said, a bitch don't hold no water when you die. They tell all your business. And all the women was sitting up there saying how his grandmother trained him how to sleep with other women by literally sleeping with him. And say that all these bitches were witches. Grandma say, I know how to do root work. Them bitches know how to do root work too. Them hoes was sitting up there root working that baby to live with his grandma, and say that they knew what they were raising that boy to do. So all these old bitches were raising that boy to steal his seed, to steal his essence, and to have him fuck them so they could feel all youthful and vibrant. And I said, come on, Grandma. I say, that shit is fairy tale, man. I say, you can do it to women. I say, I ain't no old women can do it to men. I say, hell yeah. She said, they were talking about him so good that I said I was going to go and fuck him. I say what, Grandma? I say what, Grandma? She was like, hell, I said, shit, if he packing that much of a punch, and she said he was hung too, I say, well, goddamn, let me go get him. So Grandma say, I waited outside my house, and I seen him run past, and I flagged him over. So I called him and said, hey, you wanna screw? Got the little cash for you. She was gonna shoot him $100 back in the day. That's big money, you know. And he was like, okay. So he set the appointment for Thursday and told her he'll be over there Thursday at 7 o'clock to be ready. And he'll knock on the door, say he didn't need a ride, he'll just come over there. So Grandma said when he got there, say he was the hard as a steel beam, waiting to get down on to do his thing. But she said something was wrong with him because he didn't smell right. And she was like, baby, can I read you right quick? And he like, read me, because he never understood any mysticism, that because his grandma was doing it to him in secret, training him to be this way in secret. So he like, okay, if that's your foreplay game, go for it. So Grandma say she sniffed him. She burnt some sage and sprayed on him and all that stuff there. You know, made him take another bath with some ammonia and lime. And she say she read everything about him. And she say once she bathed him with that ammonia and lime, he started smelling like old women, stink. Like, imagine an old woman that don't bathe. You know, it's very hot in the house and all their furniture just smell like old people sweat. And if you're old and listen to this, it's a thing, trust me. So she said he just smelled like that, and instantly her spirit knew that she couldn't sex him because all of these old women, get this, people, was dumping their nasty old energy into this man. So as he having sex with her, he was drained. As they're having sex with him, he's giving them life, energy, semen, and nut from his soul and his essence. And they're pushing all of their death and destruction into this man. And Grandma was like, I'm not ready to receive any of that shit. And Grandma was like, I still got my shape. I'm healthy. I'm energetic. I don't need no dick to build me up. I just wanted to ride. And then Grandma never had sex with him, but she said she let him stay the night. And she gave him a bath. She fed him some good food. And he laid on her couch and just rested all night long. So the next morning he got up. So he left the house and he just went to running. And he ran back home. So she was like, she always felt sorry for him. Now that was just a backstory. None of that was creepy and spooky. Here goes the spooky part, people, of this with Lensey. So Lensey had gained weight, got out of shape. And Lensey said And everybody was making fun of Lensey because now he's catching the bus. He's not in shape. He's not the sexiest thing running around Orlando anymore. So Lensey got offended. He got an ego now. He got this house by himself. He got all the money in the world. And keep in mind, none of the young ladies are trying to screw him because everybody thought he was creepy. They even thought he was somebody that take advantage of women. I can't say the word on YouTube here, but y'all get the drill. But he was nothing like that. So one day, this young girl was walking home and he was being real pleasant to her. He waved to her and he walked to the side of the road and he spoke to her. They had about a 20-minute conversation. He probably was going to chat her up. And in the meantime of him chatting her up, probably trying to work up on some pussy now. Well, the neighbors saw this and they concluded that since his grandma was gone and they never seen him with a woman or a girlfriend, and that at that time it was a lot of straight girls running around the neighborhood or young girls who just found their sexuality roaming the neighborhood. They thought that he was letting them stay in that big old house, sexing them up and getting out of there. So they had called the cops on him and everything, and the cops come over there to the house and they searching the man's shit, and he was like, don't nobody live here or anything, just him. His grandma passed, and the neighbors were horrible to him. So he took that as an offense. So he stopped coming outside. He got all, lazy, lethargic, and he just refused to do anything. So he stopped trusting everybody in the neighborhood, everybody in the city, everybody around him, because they had labeled this man like a pedophile or some kind of serial take advantage of women. I can't say the word on YouTube. This is where it gets sad before it gets creepy, people. Now, Lensey had made several suicide attempts on his life. He was lonely, and everybody knew it. Once he tried taking too many medication pills and poisoned himself, but just so happened the mailman was delivering papers and they saw him. They looked through the window and they saw his feet laying down in the kitchen from what the mailman said. So they called the police and the ambulance came. Then they take him to the county hospital, and they said they had to pump his stomach. Died of an overdose. He almost died of an overdose of pills. So they pumped his stomach and they made a social worker come check on him. He got past that one. Then he tried to hang himself. But when he tried to hang himself, he kicked the phone off of the thing, and the police actually dialed 911. And the police came out there again, and they saw him in the closet trying to hang himself. And when they were taking him down, he like, let me die, let me die. So they institutionalized him for about 3-4 months, and he was okay. He wanted to live. So once he got out, he kind of said, fuck the world. So he started back jogging again. He started back doing this. He stated a lot like, oh, I found the secret as he was jogging. He never wore headphones. This was just him and his brains. This dude was a maniac. You'll wave at him, he'll say, I found the secret to life, and he'll be happy again. So he started running, started losing weight. Now, all the shit they accused him of, he literally began doing. So he began taking in stray girls, but these girls, they wasn't 16, 17, they was 18, 19-year-old girls from the neighborhood, from Malibu, from Mercy Drive, from Richmond Heights, surrounding neighborhood. He would take them in, he would bring them in there, and he would be screwing the shit out of these girls. But it seemed like the more he screwed these chicks, it's like they began to look all dirty and dried up and hanked, and he was getting his abs back. He was getting his shape back. The hair that was turning gray on his face started turning black again. And this dude had it going off every night. He was rocking these chicks like it wasn't shit. So grandma was like, oh shit, he done learned. And I'm like, you see what's going on, grandma? He said, yeah, that boy was dirty, stinking, and filthy, the goddamn old lady demons. And look at him. I said, what you think going on? Me and grandma, we chilling in the car while she chewing her backer. I'm sitting out there drinking me a Pepsi. Like, what you think going on? We watching this son of a bitch run up the road looking all healthy and good, smiling at everybody and shit. She said he dragging bitches' energy. Say he learning to restore himself. The same thing them old bitches were doing to him. Say he done learned the trick and people. And now he's finna get spooky, creepy, and nasty. So now, Lensey was known for running in the daytime. He began starting his runs like 12 o'clock at night, midnight, and he would run for like 4 hours around the entire Orlando. I mean, he would start from Ivy Lane Road and go through Mercy Drive, go up Princeton, back down John Young, back down Old Winter Garden Road. I mean, the guy got stamina for days. And he would just be going. And he would go, and keep in mind, he never worked because he was left with all this money from when his grandma was saving up from when he was fucking these old women. She left him a nest egg, good little chunk of money because she raised that boy since he was 15 to fucking bring money home because she was using this energy to restore these old women around the neighborhood. So he had became very nocturnal as fuck. So now he's running at nighttime. He's happy, and the police would stop him. He would give them his ID, and he had got so familiar with running that the police were like, "Oh, there go Lensey," and they would wave at him and everything. And he had became cool because he had been doing it for 20 years. They know he wasn't no pedophile or nothing. He just a dude that liked to jog, and he would like just run. I mean, just Forrest Gump had nothing on this man. So now he is looking more youthful. Every day he's looking more youthful. He's not talking to anybody. His teeth had got cleaned up again. I mean, he started looking really good. So one day he started talking to my sister, my oldest sister. And he was like, "Hey," and my oldest sister looked at him and was like, "Oh, hell no." And she told him, "We know what you do. We know what you be doing to these women, taking their energy. You're like, you see my friend Doretha? You was fucking her, and look at her. That girl looks so bad right now. Say, you ain't shit. You probably got something." So my sister was laying into him. He like, "I ain't got nothing." He said, "I'm just me." And he like literally came back to my sister's window 2, 3 in the morning and was knocking on her window, and she was talking to him through the window, and he was revealing all of his secrets. He was like, "I just do magic. Say, if these women need somewhere to stay, I have sex with them, and they give me their energy, and I don't give them no money. I just sit up there and make sure I clean them up, bathe them up, let them get some rest. I feed them good, fuck them good. I get some energy. Then I send them home." It's when they come back 3 or 4 times that I start draining their energy. But that's how I stay young and healthy. My grandma taught me this. So first thing, the next day, my sister called me in the room. She called me. I called grandmama. Grandma come over there and she tell my grandma everything what he said. She even had a little tape recorder. It was a Walkman tape recorder. And she recorded. So grandma said, "I knew it. I knew that bitch was no good." She said, "If I would have fucked him at the time I thought about fucking him, I hit bitch probably would have drained my life force." He knew what the fuck he was doing. Him and that old bitch, his grandma, they knew what the fuck they were doing. So, because grandma was saying all her friends had started dying out one by one after the fact. So this man was sitting up here fucking these old women for years, and they thought they was draining his life force, keeping them alive. But in turn, he was draining their life force, reserving it in a bank for his own energy, and keeping the grandma alive, because the grandma had stage 4 cancer for over 15 years and she didn't die. That's the creepiest shit I ever heard grandma say, because she had to go with the lady because they were friends with grandma. Grandma said she would have to go with the lady to the fucking doctor's appointment. Some days she couldn't walk. She couldn't even eat good. And that lady lasted 15 years. Because she had him fucking all those older women at the American Legion, at the MVET Post 30, at the bingo hall. And they was ciphering that energy from that boy. So when he died, all that energy sat with him. All that stank. All that old sick hag energy stuck with him. But them old women just started dying one by one. They would be feeling good, looking good, youthful, going out partying. They would have everything they ever wanted. But as soon as that energy started draining their ass, they'll just die. And grandma was like, good thing she didn't do it. Now, Lensey, he had got very much adapted to learning how to fuck these women and snatch their energy until he ran up across this one lady by the name of Tiny. She was walking up the road and she was a homeless woman, a vagrant style woman. And she would walk up the road and Tiny, everybody made the joke about this lady named Tiny that she was the baddest, sexiest lady until somebody put something in her drink and made her go crazy. She was stood about 6'3". She had no ass, but she was real bow-legged and real hippie. She never wore shoes when she walked up the road, and it's a story that goes behind her ass too. And so Lensey saw her, and Lensey like, well, she's a nobody, a throwaway. And I guess he was fiending for some energy. So he invited her to the house to clean up. So he was like, okay, let me go ahead and fuck her. And this is my granddaddy telling the same story because my granddaddy is living at this time. And my granddaddy was telling how he wanted to fuck Tiny before she got all like this because how bad she was. But Lensey had got a hope to her and turned her crazy like this. So Lensey brought her in there. She was a throwaway chick. And she stopped fucking with Lensey, but her brain had went crazy. She never wore shoes. She would stand under the tree and she would just be so out of it. Didn't bathe, nothing. She'll be walking and she'll just open her legs, squat and shit and piss in the middle of the street, sidewalk like it was nothing. I tell you, it's a story behind that, and I'm gonna tell you what my granddaddy told me about that one. Well, the rumor was going around with my grandma that Lensey tried fucking that woman and stripped that woman of her energy. But lo and behold, that woman, she was like protected, divinely protected. And it drove her crazy because she understood what he was doing, but she couldn't stop him. And so as he was stripping her energy, he couldn't strip her energy. So the energy from him fucking her fucked up her brain. Now, I may be paraphrasing. This is crazy. I know the story is getting off the wing, but I have to tell you about Lensey because he did this shit, y'all. So Tiny made it out, and Tiny's walking up the road, and now she's crazy. She always walked up Ivy Lane Road back and forth day in, day out, and just talking to herself and crapping on herself. It was crazy. So everybody attributed that to Lensey. So now my sister asks Lensey, so did you fuck Tiny? Did you fuck Miss Tiny? Did you drive Miss Tiny crazy? And people, Lensey nasty ass admitted it. He said, when I was fucking her, it was just something there. Say, I just couldn't get her to act right. It's like her energy wouldn't act right. Say, every time I went into it, it felt like I was going into outer space. And, you know, man, my sister, she made a joke like, that bitch had a big old pussy. And it wasn't that. He was like, it felt like I was in another universe or another space. It's like my penis head was everything and it saw everything. And he said he didn't like the feeling, but he was trying to drain some energy from her because she was 6 foot tall, athletic, and all that shit just like him. He thought he had found his mat. And say his dick kept getting chafed up and scraped up when he fucked her. And he just didn't like it. So he said he stopped even like letting her come to the house. She used to knock on the door. And he used to like pretend he wasn't home. He was afraid of her. So she would beat on the door for like 3-4 hours at a time. And then she would get tired and leave. And he used to hide in the house. So I guess he was afraid of this woman. So fast forward a little bit, Lensey, Tiny has disappeared, dead, gone, moved away. I don't know. So we're grown-ups now. I'm in my 30s. Lensey is still doing the same old thing. Now there's a new generation of children around town. He's doing the same old thing with the young 20-year-old girls, bringing them in his house, fucking them. And he has to be about 56 to 55 now. And he was doing the same old thing in his 40s and shit. So now he's impotent, people, because he was stating to my grandma prior to her dying in 2013. He was stating to my grandmother that the energy coming off of these young bitches and young hoes today, said they killed his manhood. And now at 56 of all that fucking, he cannot get his penis up. He tried screwing these young girls, 17, 18. And does he say the energy off of these young girls is so demonic and so unorthodox and so unpure that he can't even get a hard penis anymore. And if you drive down Ivy Lane Road, probably Wednesday night, around by 11 or 12, you'll see him jogging around the city. He's the only one that'll just run around the city with no shirt on, and he got stamina for days. And you would know that's Lensey. He still looks young. He's not an old man, but he has to be close to 60 years old right now. No gray hair. I guess he's probably starting to age now because he haven't been able to have sex with nobody. But yeah, that's the story of Running Lensey. I'm going to nickname this bitch the Running Man. I'm finna get off this thing, everybody. All right, I'm tight. Telling you guys, be careful what you run up into, because you just might run up on something real slick. Take care, everybody. God bless.